With Nottingham Forest currently third in the Premier League table right now, our transfer business is starting to reflect on that. When I say business, I mean rumours, because some of the rumours over the last week are very exciting and really show how far we've come as a club. Now we've made some very high profile signings even before we were in the top four. Navas, Felipe, Lodi. Jesse Lingard didn't work, but it was a high profile signing at the end of the day. So we're not at all unfamiliar with this, but it's the amount of money that might be involved in some of these deals that is particularly telling. We'll get onto those rumours in just a moment, but the biggest news of the week by far is Murillo's new deal. 4-year contract until 2029. Whether he's here until then is another thing. Probably not, really. I do hope he is. It still is a major statement of intent, because at the end of the day, this is a guy that could easily play for some of the most elite clubs in the world. He's already at one, of course, but you know, the other fellow elite clubs might want to tempt him. I'm just saying. Well, what it's definitely going to do for us is raise his price tag. It's going to make him even more valuable. It's going to make it a lot harder for clubs to tempt him away. He clearly seems very settled, very at home in Nottingham, and it's amazing to see any player be in that scenario, but somebody of his ability commit their future to us like this is fantastic. And it's also worth mentioning that Chris Wood is likely to follow Murillo in the near future for signing a new deal. That's, I think, equally as important, really. I know he's not probably as long term as Murillo might be, but he is incredibly important to this Forest team, and I think he will continue to be. So giving him a new deal is crucial, and giving Ola Aina a new deal as well, which has been in the works for quite a while, it seems, but you'd hope and imagine that it is inevitable that we'll see that news soon, that Aina will sign a new deal. And at this stage, let's just try and get all of our key players signed up. The likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, Callum Hudson-Odoi, give these lads new contracts, commit their future to Forest. But let's talk about the biggest transfer story of the week, and it is quite incredible that we're being linked with a player of this quality. Matheus Cunha. Of course, everyone should know who this guy is. Wolves striker, 25 years of age. He is their talisman at Molineux, and especially in a very tough season for them, he's got 10 goals in 21 games. He's played 78 times for Wolves over the last 3 seasons. Before that, previously of Atletico Madrid, RB Leipzig, Hertha Berlin, and played in Switzerland as well. So he's been about, he's got that experience, and this is a guy that I think a lot of big clubs, i.e. bigger than Forest typically, would want. I mean, there's rumours that Arsenal want him. I can completely see why they want him, because their striking options are Kai Havertz. Man City apparently wanted him before they went for Omar Marmoush, who we were linked with last summer, so that probably tells you how ambitious we go these days with transfer stories and rumours. I think even Spurs have been interested in him. I don't think that's an upgrade, really. He has got 11 caps for Brazil, just for your information. The big stumbling block with this, though, is this would be a record transfer fee, because particularly mid-season, Wolves are going to be very reluctant to sell him, especially in their scenario where they're in real danger of getting relegated, and they're not going to want to do that, really, are they? Why would they sell their best player to anybody at this stage of the season, unless it is for pretty stupid money? And when I'm saying stupid money, I mean 60 million plus. I've even seen 80 million spoken about. So if we're to pull this off, it is going to be a record transfer fee. How am I talking about Forest signing a player for 60 million? The thing is with Cunha, though, is he has got a bit of a bad reputation with his attitude. I don't want to criticise this. As a player, we absolutely should be taking him. He is 100% the sort of player that would take us to the next level, really, and 100% give Chris Wood that competition. Not to dislodge him necessarily, but unbelievable competition, right? But I do see where people come in from with his attitude. Against Ipswich this season, when they lost in the last minute, he did quite an unsportsmanlike thing where he grabbed those glasses off that Ipswich coach, and yeah, it was just a bit of a stupid move, really, from him. So that's my only concern, really, with this, is not so much the price tag, because we clearly can, you know, push the limit and go for players like this now. But it's just maybe that's a stumbling block, especially with how great our team chemistry is these days and, dressing room, maybe we don't want to be bringing in somebody like that. But again, everyone thought Jed Spence had a bad attitude, and he didn't when he was at Forest. So I'm just saying, maybe that's something we shouldn't really be too concerned about. Now, the other option in attack for Forest, I spoke about him last week, but there has been more updates on this one, is Johan Wissa. Another Premier League rival striker, and another player who, this time last year, if you said we were going for him, you would say no chance at all. Why would he downgrade? Because at the time it would have been downgrading if it came to us. Now, he would arguably be upgrading because of purely our league position. Again, why would Brentford sell one of their best players in the January transfer window? They're going to be reluctant regardless. Now, Forest have apparently put in a 22 million bid for him. Brentford have already made that quite clear that they want a lot more. Thomas Frank apparently saying good luck with that. That's not happening. Only this is Thomas Frank we're talking about. He's got more Premier League goals now for Brentford than Ivan Toney got for them. He's got a contract until next year, so maybe Brentford might be tempted in the summer at least to cash in on him. But I wouldn't see them doing it right now. And he's got the best average XG shots per game in the Premier League, which is more than Chris Wood. It's going to be tough to take either of those two away from Brentford or Wolves because of the fact that it is January. It's going to be particularly difficult to tempt those players away in terms of particularly the clubs losing those players, and they're going to want even more probably than they would do in a summer transfer window. I honestly would gladly take either of these. I think Cunha would be a more high-profile player to bring in. I think Wissa would be still incredible. I really would be so happy with either of these, but let me know in the comments which one would you prefer, Wissa or Matheus Cunha. Now, the final rumour is not a striker, but it is a winger. Now, I have seen a few Forest fans saying after that Southampton game, the way we very nearly bottled that 3-goal lead against the bottom team, which was just a very rare moment this season where there have been a few alarm bells about how we were managing a game. I'm not going to criticise, they were third in the league. I saw some people saying maybe Jota Silva and Sosa aren't good enough, and I think that's really harsh because they're both clearly very talented. But Forest may clearly be in that sort of thinking too, because this guy is a very high-profile player, just from what I can tell. Alex Baena. I really hope I said that correct. I have researched it. If you're Spanish, I apologise. A left winger / attacking midfielder from Villarreal. We, of course, played these in pre-season at the City Ground. Baena did not play in that game though, just in case you're wondering. 23 years of age. He has got a £51 million release clause. So again, going to be quite tough to see Villarreal wanting to sell. Newcastle also want him. So, and Bayern Munich, actually, I must add, they want him too. So, pretty big competition there. This season already, he's got 19 appearances with 5 goals. And he's more than an assister, really, because last season in the Liga, he got 14 assists from left wing. So, that's very, very impressive. A Spanish media outlet has described him as versatile, effective as a dribbler, passer and scorer. That's most, attackers really, isn't it? But, that's what they're saying. Comparisons to the likes of Phil Foden, Martin Odegaard, Julian Brandt. They're no more than Gibbs White, but, they're being compared to him. He's got a contract until 2028. There's a lot to like about Baena. And he did play at the Olympics in the summer of last year. 8 caps for the Spanish national team. Did actually win the Euros. He's a pretty well-accomplished player already at only the age of 23. Would he be an upgrade on Jota or Sosa? I think there's a pretty good chance of that. But I don't entirely think we need to be doing that, in my opinion. I wouldn't be against it, but if we do that, surely one of Jota, or probably more likely Sosa, would have to be loaned out, because I don't see them wanting to be in the reserves. And just a couple of stories on rumours out. There's nothing major this week, but Alex Moreno has been spoken about to potentially going back to Real Betis. Don't know if that'll be on loan or not, but of course he's on loan to us from Aston Villa. I really wouldn't want this to happen. I think absolutely we should be keeping Moreno, because we can't forget Moreno was fantastic before Nico Williams came in. And it was only really because that Villa game came up and he couldn't play against them, that he got took out the team, because Nico, he actually started just before that Villa game, 2 games against Ipswich and United, but he just stayed in because he'd just been so good. And I think that's the right decision to keep Nico in the team, but I don't think just because Morena's on loan that we should be moving him on. He's an unbelievable player to come in if we need him, and if Morena had to be starting games for us, then so be it. I'll be okay with that. Now, one story that dropped since I recorded this video is an update on Andrew Omabamidele. It looks like he could be joining Strasbourg on a permanent deal this month. It looked like it might have been a loan to the Championship or possibly a permanent deal of around 10 million, but it does look like it's going to be the latter. And to France as well, we didn't expect him to go there. That's probably a good place for him to test himself. And it's sad because I think he's a great player there. Honestly, a lot of potential, but the level we're now at, yeah, he's not going to get a look in really, is he? So for his own good, it probably is the right decision because he's never really going to ever feature regularly for us. And the only other one, definitely less important in the grand scheme of things, is Lewis O'Brien. An update on him, Blackburn and Hull City being interested in him. Not sure that it would be a loan or permanent. I think for his own sake, it should be permanent. Blackburn, if you remember, they were linked with him a couple of seasons ago. So they've clearly had long-standing interest in him. He definitely should be moving on, and I'm sure there's more Championship clubs than just those two wanting Lewis O'Brien. As I've said before, I rate O'Brien, but for his own good, he probably should be moving on, definitely. So that's all there really is to say this week in terms of transfer news. Please get your thoughts in the comments. Very, very big transfer rumours this week. Bournemouth this weekend, very tough game. Looking forward to it, but I'm very, not nervous, but I think it's a real banana skin potentially, because they're a bogey team for us, as we know, and they're also a very impressive side. So it is going to be a real interesting one, that. Of course, I'll be reacting to it on the channel on Saturday, so stay tuned to that. And yeah, up the Reds, everyone. Thanks for watching.